Good morning, my dear. I want you to sit with me for a moment, because what I'm about to tell you might genuinely surprise you. I've seen that many times before. For decades, the medical establishment has told women your age to slow down, to take it easy, to quietly accept whatever decline comes with the years. And I have to be honest with you, Calf, I've never fully believed that advice. Not once in over 20 years of sitting across from women just like you, because some of the most remarkable longevity research of the last 10 years completely contradicts it. What if the things keeping you sharp, to strong and independent at 75, at 80, even at 85, aren't the things your doctor mentioned at your last 15-minute appointment? What if they're simple daily habits that most women your age have quietly, unknowingly, let go of again and again, that the research is only now beginning to fully appreciate? The women who age the most beautifully, the ones who still drive themselves to their appointments. I'm Dr. Elliot Hayes, and after more than 2 decades caring for women in the 75 to 85 age range, I've watched something happen. Who still garden, who still remember every grandchild's birthday without writing it down a phone. They share a very specific set of behaviors. Not expensive supplements, not miracle products. Behaviors. The science on this is clear. Multiple large studies tracking healthy aging consistently show that lifestyle habits, but not genetics, who remain independent and those who don't. And the women who hold on to even a handful of the right habits show meaningfully lower rates of the rapid functional decline that sends so many people into assisted living far earlier than they needed to. Now, before we go any further, I want to tease something at Rome, because I know you might be tempted to skip ahead. The number one habit on this list, the most powerful of all 6 Maum, is something almost no one talks about. It has nothing to do with diet or exercise in the traditional sense. Most doctors don't even bring it up in a routine visit. But some of the most compelling research in modern gerontology suggests it may be the single greatest predictor of whether you stay independent, in body and in mind, after 75. So please, stay with me until the end. That one could genuinely change how you look at the rest of your life. But before we get there, I want to ask you something, Lyd, personally, just between us. Drop your age in the comments below, whether you're 68, 74, 81, or somewhere else entirely. And tell me, girls, which of these 6 habits do you already have? I read every single comment on this channel, every one. This community means everything to me, and your story matters to me. So leave it down there, and let's have a real conversation, you and I. But the science behind it is anything but simple. Now, let's count down from number 6 to number 1 of Faum, starting with something that sounds almost too simple to matter. Here is something most people get wrong about hydration after 75. They assume it works the same way it did at 45. It absolutely does not. After the age of 70, your kidneys gradually lose filtering capacity. Research published in medical literature on aging consistently shows that affects how efficiently your body processes fluids and retains the minerals it needs. At the same time, your body's thirst signals become significantly blunted, meaning you genuinely stop feeling thirsty, Chase, even when you're already mildly dehydrated. And your blood's ability to carry oxygen and nutrients to your muscles and your brain drops with the... Think of your bloodstream like a delivery system running through a river. When that river runs low, the delivery trucks slow down. Packages get lost. The whole operation begins to break down. That is what chronic, mild dehydration does to the aging body. Research confirms that adequate hydration in older adults is associated with fewer urinary tract infections, better balance, and sharper short-term memory bandwidths, though exact numbers vary by study. What the science agrees on is the direction. Consistent, strategic hydration. Your brain is made up of more than 70% water. Even a mild drop in hydration causes measurable cognitive impairment. Studies on dehydration and cognition consistently show effects on attention, short-term memory, and reaction time. After 75, those effects are amplified. Your brain's compensatory mechanisms are already working harder just to maintain baseline function. Here is what separates the women who truly thrive. They don't drink water only when they remember. They drink a large glass first thing in the morning, Frau, before coffee, before breakfast, before anything else. Your body loses fluid overnight through breathing and light perspiration. Then, a small glass with every meal. and one in the mid-afternoon. And here is the synergy tip that matters. Pair your morning water with a small pinch of high-quality sea salt or an electrolyte tablet trio, not table salt. As we age, the kidneys become less efficient at retaining sodium. Without adequate electrolyte system, I want to tell you about Margaret Tyre, 81 years old, from Boise, Idaho. She came to see me complaining of afternoon brain fog, dizziness when standing, and what she described as feeling like my thinking was wrapped in cotton. She wasn't dramatically dehydrated. She was chronically, mildly underhydrated. We made one change, strategic hydration, timed correctly, with a small electrolyte addition in the morning. 6 weeks later, she told me it felt like someone had cleaned the windows of her mind. Her balance improved. Her afternoon fatigue lifted. One habit, my dear, that's all it took.
Yeah.
I need to be very clear about something here because I see this misunderstood or heavy weights. I'm talking about any movement that asks your muscles to work against a gentle force, a resistance band, a light dumbbell, a wall push-up, even carrying your own groceries with intention. In practical terms, it means your body now needs more signal, more intentional resistance to maintain the same muscle a 50-year-old keeps with much less effort. That distinction matters enormously after 75 because of something called anabolic resistance, the reduced ability of aging muscle cells. Your muscles are not lazy, my dear. They're simply harder to reach. And if they aren't reached consistently, a process begins called sarcopenia, the progressive loss of muscle mass and strength. Research from multiple institutions, including well-regarded meta-analysis published in journals like Age and Aging, consistently links sarcopenia to meaningfully higher risk of falls, loss of daily independence, and shorter lifespan. The associations are substantial and well-replicated. Research out of institutions including Tufts University's Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging, where one of the leading centers in the world for exactly this work, Tom, has shown that older adults who begin resistance training make real, measurable gains in strength and balance, even starting in their 70s and 80s. The mitochondria in your muscle cells, due to the power plants of your body, regenerate more efficiently with resistance movement present. You are not just building muscle. You are rebuilding the energy infrastructure of your entire body. The practical approach, 2 to 3 sessions a week, 20 to 30 minutes each, focused on the large muscle groups, legs, hips, and back. Resistance bands are ideal for women your age because they offer progressive resistance without stress on the joints. The synergy tip. Do your resistance session within 30 minutes of eating 25 to 30 grams of protein. After 75, the window during which your muscles can efficiently absorb protein for repair is shorter and less forgiving than it was when you were younger. Timing matters. Before I continue, Kain, if this is giving you something you can genuinely use, if you're learning something you wish someone had told you years ago, would you take 1 second right now and subscribe? And if you know a woman between 70 and 90 who deserves to hear this, send it to her today. This channel exists for exactly this reason, to give you the truth your doctor rarely has 15 extra minutes to give you. Now, back to sleep. Because this one is far more layered than simply going to bed early. After 75, your circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock, begins to shift and weaken, though individual variation is wide. Your deepest, most physically restorative sleep phases also decrease. Research suggests the nighttime peak of melatonin can fall by roughly 40% or more between middle age and the mid-70s crow. Harder to reach. And harder to sustain. Published in journals including Nature Neuroscience Acrim, has established a real and concerning link between disrupted slow-wave older adults, the same plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease. The relationship is genuine, even if precise numbers vary across studies. The women who do this well don't simply sleep more. They sleep consistently, bed within the same 30-minute window every night, waking at the same time every morning, weekends included. A bedroom kept cool between 6 to 5 and 6 to 8 degrees. and a cooler room supports the deep sleep your brain needs. And they avoid screens for the hour before bed, disrupting the quality of the sleep that follows. Research from Harvard Medical School, including work by Dr. Charles Chisler's team, has shown that light-emitting screens before bed delay the onset of sleep and suppress melatonin. The synergy tip? Pair your consistent schedule with 10 minutes of slow, gentle breathing before bed. It activates your body's rest and repair mode. And research consistently shows it reduces nighttime cortisol, making it meaningfully easier to fall into the deep sleep you deserve. This is where I see the most dangerous misconception among the women I care for. And I have to be honest with you, Tad. It genuinely concerns me as your doctor. The idea that you need less protein as you age isn't just wrong. It may be one of the most harmful pieces of nutritional folklore ever passed down. The truth is the exact opposite, my dear. After 75, because of that same anabolic resistance, your body requires more dietary protein to achieve the same muscle maintenance effect. The ProteAge Study Group, an international panel of researchers and clinicians, recommends that healthy older adults consume at least 1.0 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, compared to the standard recommendation of 0.8 grams for younger adults. That's a meaningful increase. And yet most women I see are eating well below even the basic recommendation too, often because appetite quietly decreases with age. And carbohydrate-heavy foods simply feel easier to prepare. Multiple studies have linked higher protein intake in older adults to better preservation of muscle mass, lower rates of fall-related injury, and stronger immune response. The research base here is genuinely solid. Think of protein like the bricks your body uses to rebuild itself while you sleep. Every night, your body tears down old, damaged tissue and replaces it with new. Without enough bricks, the reconstruction is incomplete, and over months and years, that shortfall becomes serious. Aim for 25 to 30 grams of protein at each of your 3 main meals, roughly 4 to 5 ounces of chicken, fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, or legumes. And spreading it out matters. Consumed mostly in one sitting. Every gram counts more when it's well-timed. I want to tell you about Eleanor, 78, from Scottsdale, Arizona. Her daughter noticed she'd lost nearly 18 pounds. With loss, it was not normal. She was losing muscle, not fat. And her grip strength, one of the strongest single predictors of longevity in older adults, consistently used in aging research had dropped to a concerning level for her age group. We rebuilt her meals around deliberate protein intake. 12 weeks later, she had regained meaningful lean mass, her strength improved, and she told me with unmistakable pride, "The car for the first time in 2 years." The synergy tip? Pair your protein with a little vitamin C, an orange, some bell pepper, a splash of lemon juice pie, because it supports the collagen synthesis that works alongside protein to maintain not just your muscle, but your joints, your cartilage, and your skin. My dear, before we get to the final 2 krosh, I want to pause for just a moment. Because what's coming next is the part most doctors will never say out loud. Number 2 surprised almost every woman I've shared it with. And number 1, that one genuinely stopped some of my patients in their tracks. So please, stay with me. We're almost there, and it's worth it. I told you earlier that one of these last 2 would surprise you. This is the one, Hein, because it sounds too soft, too emotional to be a medical recommendation. But I want to be absolutely clear with you, my dear Doe. The research on this is not soft. A landmark meta-analysis led by Dr. Julianne Holt-Lundstad, published in PLOS Medicine, it's some of the hardest, most consistently replicated science in modern gerontology. The researchers compared the magnitude of this effect to well-known risk factors like smoking and obesity. Being chronically socially isolated is not a minor inconvenience. It is a serious health risk. People with stronger social relationships had a 50% greater likelihood of survival over the follow-up period compared to those who were more isolated. In the quiet spaces of the heart, a profound sense of emptiness settles. This is the weight of chronic loneliness. In the quiet spaces of the heart, a profound sense of emptiness settles. This is the weight of chronic loneliness. A recent large-scale analysis published in Nature Mental Health found approximately a 30% increase in dementia risk among those experiencing patients. For older adults, the National Institute on Aging and multiple research groups have consistently found. Here's the reason this runs so deep physiologically. Genuine human connection of not passive screen time, not simply, which lowers cortisol, reduces inflammation, and keeps the parts of your brain responsible for memory and decision-making active and well-connected. Think of your social brain like a muscle. The neurons that fire during real conversation, shared laughter, gentle disagreement. When they go quiet for weeks at a time, they begin to fade. And after 75, your brain's ability to rebuild those pathways once they're lost has already declined significantly. The prescription is simple, but it must be intentional. At least one meaningful interaction every single day. A phone call counts if it's genuinely engaged. A book club, a faith gathering, a regular lunch with a neighbor. What doesn't count is passive presence. Engagement is what keeps your brain structurally intact. I think often of Dorothy, 83, from Charleston, South Carolina. She lost her husband of 54 years and withdrew almost entirely from life. Her daughter brought her to me 8 months later, and cognitively, she had declined measurably in less than a year. We didn't change a single medication. We built her a social schedule, TREB, a weekly book club, a daily 20-minute call with a rotating list of friends and family. 8 months after that, her cognitive scores had returned to near baseline. Her daughter told me she seemed like herself again. Social connection is not a luxury at your age, my dear. It is a biological necessity. The synergy tip: pair connection with gentle movement whenever you can. A walk with a friend, a light exercise class, gardening beside a neighbor. Research from the University of British Columbia and others shows that combining social interaction with even light physical activity and now confound the habit that too few women over 75 maintain consistently. The one leading researchers in aging have called one of the most underused protective behaviors available. And together, we can achieve greatness without a single prescription. Not crossword puzzles, not passive reading. I'm talking about something more demanding, more transformative, learning something genuinely new. A skill, a language, an instrument, a form of creative expression that puts your brain into a state of productive discomfort. Here is why this one comes first. After 75, your brain begins to lean on its most familiar pathways. It becomes remarkably efficient at the things it already knows to far, and increasingly reluctant to build anything new. That isn't a flaw, my dear. It's your brain conserving energy. But it's also exactly how cognitive risk depleted changes and keep functioning beautifully. Think of it like the memory in a computer. The more reserve you have, the more your brain can withstand before you notice any decline. And ensure that we consider every detail with the utmost care. At all. The research base here is genuinely strong. The Rush Memory and Aging Project, on a long-running study from Rush University Medical Center in Chicago, following hundreds of older adults found that people who described their daily lives as cognitively active showed significantly lower rates of Alzheimer's disease over the follow-up period. The most cognitively active individuals were roughly 2.5 times less likely to develop Alzheimer's than those who were least active. Multiple other long-term cohort studies have found associations between novel cognitive engagement and slower cognitive decline, better memory, and meaningfully lower dementia risk. Research on bilingualism, specifically people who have used 2 languages throughout their lives, has found that lifelong bilingualism may delay the onset of dementia by several years. Not about beginning to learn a new language in your 70s. But what the wider body of evidence on cognitive engagement does suggest is this: activities that genuinely challenge your brain, that require you to learn, to sequence, to make mistakes and correct them out, build the kind of reserve that matters. Learning a musical instrument engages memory, motor control, and emotional processing together in a way almost nothing else does. According to studies affiliated with the American Academy of Neurology. I want to be clear about this one. The research is about lifelong use of 2 languages. Learning to cook a new cuisine job, the reading, the sequencing, the sensory attention foreign, offers real cognitive challenge. The key is novelty and active engagement. Choose one genuinely new skill every few months and spend 20 to 30 minutes a day actively learning it. The key word is actively, my dear. Watching someone else play the piano isn't learning the piano. Sitting with the instrument, struggling through it calm, that struggle is the point. It's the mental equivalent of resistance training. The resistance is where the benefit lives. I think of Ruth, 79, from Portland, Oregon. She'd spent the first years of her retirement doing very little that truly challenged her mind. By her own words, she came to see me after noticing she was forgetting names, losing the thread of conversations. Nothing alarming on her test 1, but her cognitive engagement had dropped significantly. I gave her one prescription: choose something she'd always wanted to learn and do it every day. She chose oil painting, something she'd never once attempted. She was terrible at first, and she'll be the first to tell you so. 18 months later, she had completed 23 paintings, joined a local art group, which addressed habit number 2 beautifully, all on its own half, and her follow-up assessments showed real improvement in several areas. Improvement, my dear, not just maintenance. At 79. The synergy tip: pair your daily challenge with omega-3 fatty acids, CAR, the DHA found in salmon, mackerel, sardines, or a high-quality fish oil. DHA is the primary structural fat in your brain's cell membranes. Research, including work from the long-running Framingham Heart Study, has found structure and cognitive outcomes in older adults, suggesting that nutritional support and cognitive engagement may work together. Let me close with something I say from the heart phrase, because I've sat across from enough women in the 75 to 85 range to know that this stage of life is too often treated like a countdown rather than a continuation. It is not, my dear. The science I've shared with you today points to something medicine is only beginning to fully appreciate: that your body and your mind, at 75, at 80, at 85, hold a remarkable, stubborn capacity for resilience, not in spite of age. The 6 habits we spoke about: strategic hydration, resistance movement, consistent sleep, deliberate protein, in conversation with it. They're about making the very most of the time the clock still has, carrying your own groceries, remembering your grandchildren's names, driving yourself to your own appointments, laughing until your eyes water at dinner with someone who matters to you. That is what independence looks like. That is what a full life looks like. And I promise you, I have seen it with my own eyes die in women who were told there was nothing left to work with. It is never, ever too late to begin. If this video gave you something today, would you do one thing for me? Share it. Send it to a woman in your life, Amar, a sister, a friend, a neighbor, Fal, someone you care about who deserves to hear this. That one small act might change everything for her. And if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, I'd be so grateful if you would, right now. Every week, I bring you research-informed information I genuinely believe can add years of quality to your life. Turn the notification bell on so you never miss one. And now, I want to hear from you. Leave your age in the comments and tell me, Kabok, which of these 6 habits do you already feel strong in? And which one are you going to build starting today? I will read every single one. This community is one of the most thoughtful I've ever had the privilege to be part of, and that is entirely because of you. I care about what happens to you. That's why I'm telling you this. Take good care of yourself, my dear. You are worth the effort.